Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me on today's edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast. For presentation, I am Immaculate Fogwe. Renowned Cameroonian comedian Gabriel Nanjib dies in a fatal road accident on the National Road Number 3, precisely in Puma, that is the Sanaga Maritime Division. On today's edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast, we'll tell you about the circumstances that led to his death and the absence of adequate surveillance cameras, street lights, and security personnel on major streets have been blamed for the rise in insecurity across the 10 regions of Cameroon. In a bid of addressing the growing phenomenon, the Secretary General at the Presidency, Ferdinand Gongo, was in Douala today to inaugurate the National Command Control Center for Surveillance, Video Surveillance. That's it for our major stories. Stay with us for details and more. Once more, good evening, and thank you so much for staying with us. Popular comedian and musician Gabriel Nanjib has been involved in a fatal road accident in Puma, Senegal Maritime Division in the Lithura region. The comedian is said to have died on the spot after his vehicle got hit by a heavy-duty truck coming from the opposite direction. Our reporter Smaji Kangable visited the accident scene, and he now tells us what exactly happened.
Completely shattered vehicle of the comedian Gabriel Nanjib Yamtong that was left at the accident scene in Puma along the National Road Number 3. Reports said the accident occurred in the early hours of Thursday as Gabriel Nanjib Yamtong was returning to Douala from Yaoundé along the Douala-Yaoundé highway in between Puma and Edea. Witnesses say it was a head-on collision between the Lexus marked car driven by Gabriel Nanjib Yamtong and a lorry that led to the death of the comedian. The same vehicle he celebrated after he bought it.
Jehovah, don't do me something, oh. Now biggie, biggie something. Come follow me, celebrate.
Gabriel Nanjib Yamtong was amongst the influencers that Cameroon Football Federation, FECAFOOT, hired during the FIFA World Cup in Qatar, and on the national scene, he is recognized as one of the most performant in the entertainment industry. His works and achievements made him to be invited to Equinoxe Sunday's entertainment program, Dimanche avec vous, where Gabriel Nanjib Yamtong talked about his career and life.
Je suis malheureux sur l'argent des gens. Yo vous, yo tiens, regarde-moi sa taille. Tu sais, les faux bien, qu'on sait, you go.
The death of Gabriel Nanjib Yamtong this Thursday dropped like a bombshell, and even back in his native Bangante village, it was total confusion.
And on to something else, the Secretary General at the Presidency, Ferdinand Gongo, was today inaugurated the National Command and Control Center for Video Surveillance Annex Douala. The center, with over 5,000 video cameras distributed across the country and linked to a common data center, is aimed at checking insecurity and public disorder in Cameroon. Anabila was at the inaugural ceremony and now reports.
We still remember the recent happening at Koto in Douala, where some civilians were attacked following the death of a female gendarme officer in the Douala 5 area, plus other cases of high insecurity in the city of Douala. The National Command and Control Center for Video Surveillance Annex of Douala will sure permit security officers of the National Police to easily track down criminals wherever the act is committed. The project, called Cameroon Intelligent City Project, consists of approximately 5,000 video surveillance cameras in all the 10 regions of Cameroon, and they are linked to 17 command rooms.
Ce projet a pour objectif principal de renforcer la couverture sécuritaire de notre pays.
During his address in the inaugural ceremony, the Secretary General of the Presidency of the Republic, Ferdinand Gongo, representing personally the head of state, Paul Biya, says the project is principally to reinforce the security situation of the entire country with the help of modern technology. It will also reduce crime waves, ensure the protection of people and property, check terrorist activities in some parts of the country, and also public disorder.
Des centres régionaux de vidéosurveillance sont en cours de construction dans les autres chefs-lieux de région.
The inaugural ceremony of the National Command and Control Center for Video Surveillance, annexed Douala, was attended by the Delegate General for National Security, Martin Bargangili, Governor Samuel Dudone Ibrahim Dibois, and other top administrative, security, and traditional authorities from across the country. This surveillance system is expected to deter bandits and other criminals, since they can now be easily tracked.
And now to our health page. How often do you donate blood in hospitals? Are you aware that donating your blood can save lives? According to the Minister of Public Health, Cameroon needs about 400,000 blood bags annually, but only 147,000 blood bags were collected last year. He attributes the shortage on the lack of willingness of Cameroonians to donate blood. Our reporter Malaglari went to the Douala Lakantini Hospital, which was commemorating World Blood Donor Day. Speaking with some blood donors, they expressed their willingness to continuously save lives. We have details in our report.
A man in his late 50s is at the Lakantini Hospital in the city of Douala to donate blood. He says it is a civic and social responsibility for him, like any other Cameroonian, to give blood in order to save life. I am a voluntary blood donor since 2000 and I've offered at least 52 blood bags in this hospital. I am glad to have saved lives. He is just one out of the many who are willing to donate their blood. At the Lakantini Hospital, we met with a medical doctor who explains the benefits of blood donation.
So we try as much as humanly possible to reduce the risks associated with transfusion. And what do we do whenever we receive donors? First of all, they go through a medical selection. And after blood donation, we do testing. We test here in the Lakantini blood bank in parallel. Only after those tests do we ascertain whether a pint of blood is secured for transfusion or not. So when we do the testing, we separate the pints that have been infected from the pints that are not infected.
Blood transfusion, just like other medical procedures, have risks associated to them. Dr. Agbo Takang Besem assures patients that these risks are limited.
All right, the patients that actually need blood more, that's regular transfusions, we have sickle cell patients. Then you have pregnant women, those that have difficulties in delivery for one reason or the other, they too require a lot of blood. We also have cancer patients that are going through chemotherapy. We have hemodialysis patients. We have patients that are suffering from severe anemia. Then generally patients that are going to undergo surgery and patients that may have been involved in accidents.
At the Lakantini Hospital, there are people like Christian Kuche who voluntarily come to donate blood, while others are either family members or friends coming for their loved ones. But then there must be a blood request duly signed by a medical doctor for a particular patient.
The difficulty we have is the availability or that disposition of people to come and donate. Most of them don't come to donate willingly, except they are forced to donate.
According to the Minister of Public Health, Cameroon needs 400,000 blood bags annually, but only about 147,000 blood bags were collected last year. And medics say the difficulty is due to the lack of willingness.
Still on our health page, about 1,000 children are diagnosed with type 1 diabetes every year in Cameroon. Given that a lot of parents are not aware about the condition, endocrinologists at the Douala Lakantini Hospital have organized a sensitization and screening campaign for children. Our reporter Asia Lucy Liangu was there and now tells us more.
Type 1 diabetes in children, a condition in which a child's body no longer produces an important hormone called insulin, also known as juvenile diabetes. An infant, a toddler, or a teenager can be diagnosed of diabetes. According to a pediatric endocrinology nurse, a child with a parent or sibling with type 1 diabetes has a risk of developing the condition. It is genetic or gotten from a family member. We can say a child isn't respecting his or her diet. We should note that a mother or father who is diabetic has chances of having a child who is diabetic. Equally, having certain genes may increase the risk of developing type 1 diabetes. When a child is 4 years old and he or she is diabetic, we can say it's because of their diet. It is more genetic. The signs and symptoms, medics say, usually develop quickly.
Les signes et manifestations du diabète de l'enfant sont plusieurs.
She says if a child has an increase in thirst, frequent urination,
l'enfant boit beaucoup. À chaque fois, l'enfant a soif, une soif.
Possibly bedwetting, extreme hunger, unintentional weight loss, then as a parent, one should be worried.
Il est toujours en train de manger et à côté de tout cela, il perd du poids. Et tout, donc ce sont des signes d'alerte.
Medics advise parents to carry out exercises with their children to maintain good blood sugar level, go for screenings and visit a doctor always.
Today is being observed in Cameroon as World Refugee Day. The political and social instability plaguing most African countries explains the presence of refugees in other countries, Cameroon inclusive. Let's take a listen to the UN officials in charge of refugees in Cameroon in this excerpt.
First, I would like to stress that it is the first time in Douala that refugees will receive this ID card delivered by the DGSM, and this means by the government. It's a strong protection tool because when you have a refugee identity card, so it's not a national ID card, it's a refugee identity card, when you will move with this document, it will be much easier to move from one city to another with a government-recognized document than moving without document. It also opens the access to social, economic, and basic rights, such as access to health, access to education, even, why not, access to financial institutions. You cannot open a bank account if you don't have a document. So it's difficult to do business, it's difficult to take care of yourself if you don't have document. Legal identity is a fundamental right.
You just listened there to Guillaume Olivier Pierre, President Representative of the United Nations High Commission for Refugees. We now take this report on sports. But before coming to sports, that will be after the short break.
There were 26 club presidents who took part at a meeting with an objective of creating a new association to cater for the interests of elite 1 and 2 clubs of the country. The gathering that took place at Bonamusadi in the Douala 5 subdivision came on the heels of frustrations that some club presidents had before the end of the 2022-2023 football season in Cameroon.
We are here because things are not moving well. We need to look for a solution. What is the solution? All of us need to find out for the solution. And then second question, talking about federation. All of us here are federation. We don't need to go to the federation to ask a permission to hold our meeting because we are already part of the federation. We just need to take our resolution and go with it to the federation and propose to them what we are about to do.
During the gathering, the 26 club presidents decried the poor management of Fecafoot as they were left in the dark about the financial gains of clubs with the contracts that Fecafoot signed with MTN and Thiof. Until date, the rest of the subvention for clubs for 2021, 2022 and 2022-2023 football season is not yet paid. The newborn association, known as the Association of Professional Clubs in Cameroon, is not formed to cause trouble to the federation. This new association is not out to fight against the FA. We are here to defend the interests of professional clubs in Cameroon.
Défendre les intérêts des clubs professionnels du Cameroun.
Independent of football, because today we feel that we are tied down. We think after this meeting we have a roadmap and program to follow.
Nous avons pris les résolutions et nous avons une feuille de route, nous avons un cahier de charge à suivre.
One of the resolutions during the gathering was for an independent audit committee to be set up to follow up the subventions for clubs during the 2021, 2022 and 2022-2023 football season. In attendance at the meeting in Douala was General Pierre Simenge, who was president of the dissolved Professional Football League of Cameroon, LFPC. The number of club presidents present here is 26 out of 35. The crisis is within the profession of football. The actors are the club president. That is why I came to listen to them. The Professional Football League was created by the government, while the Transitional Committee was created by the president of FECAFOOT. At the same time, the Association of Professional Clubs in Cameroon was being created in Douala by 26 out of 35 clubs in the Elite 1 and 2. Over in Yaoundé, the Association of Club Presidents of the Elite 1 and 2 Championship was holding under the leadership of Pascal Abwinde of PWD of Bamenda.
That's it for the first part of the news. Talking Point is up next. On today's edition of Talking Point, we will come back to an interview of the chairman of the Social Democratic Front SDF party. He explains the circumstances that led to his kidnap and how he was later freed by separatist fighters. He equally condemns the continuous destruction, killings and atrocities committed in the two English-speaking regions of Cameroon. He was speaking on the program The Inside on Equinoxe television. Let's have a watch.
Can you just tell us what happened on that day you were kidnapped on your way to Kumbu for the burial of Honorable Joseph Banazem?
When we climbed the Wainama Hills, we met with the first group of Ambas who took the convoy. They allowed all the other passenger vehicles pass go. They took us in. I was sitting in my car. And when they removed Mrs. Banazem to move on foot, I called her to enter the hearse. So she entered there, sat near the husband, so they drove us. Went a distance about a kilometer or so on a fraction. They said, they apologized that they were sorry. They had to bring us in because they heard that I was coming with members of the armed forces undercover. And when they looked, they did not see one. So we left there. As we got to Sop, precisely near late Fonkam Shank's home, we saw another fleet of Amber boys again with their guns. Some even fired their guns in the air. I said, least that you, as soon as you hold people, you start firing guns in the air, doesn't speak well. So when I halted, they came to me and said the convoy could go. They want to take me, have a brief chat with me before we continue. I said, fine. Why don't you let me go bury Banazem before we go have a chat? He said, no, Chairman, will not be long. I said, okay, let's go. Because if I started struggling there, that I must go and bury Banazem before I come talk to you people, it seemed as if I was afraid. I've never been afraid. So they said our talking point was near the late Kilo's school, just across. When we got there, they said we should go further down. We went. So in the end, we ended up driving for about between 5 to 7 kilometers. Maybe my sense of judgment might be wrong, but we went quite a distance off the main road.
And you were in captivity for over 5 hours.
Maybe 6.5 or 7 hours.
What were you talking with them? What were they saying?
First, they took us to this house and said they were going to finish their meeting. Because they first told us that the other leaders were in a house having a meeting. So we were going to meet them. So I was going happily, hoping that I was going to meet all of them in the meeting house. But they diverted, took us to another place where they put us in a room and put me a little distance off the door where people could see me. We were sitting in there. So they said they were going to conclude their meeting with the other leaders, then come meet us or take us to meet them. So I said, okay, but a gentleman interviewed us. I said, you cannot be interviewing us, you alone. He said, he wants to take some basic information to the other leaders before they come meet us again. And my suspicion is that the first interviews that he made, he went and they were communicating with people abroad. Because my brother was still in captivity. And he told me that he had been warned that as I was going to Insult, they were going to kidnap me there. And that when they kidnapped me in Insult, they were going to bring me back to the camp where they were in Bafut, so that they'll have 2 brothers and 2 workers, 4 of us, and then they'll see what Frundi will do. I told him that the struggle was not decided for Frundi to be kidnapped or to be tortured or to see. The young people coming in now are just treading on the path that Frundi had trod before. This is a thing that Frundi started. And if people are talking today, Frundi sat very comfortable in the meeting, in the house where they were interviewing him. He was not perturbed, he was drinking him. The Ambas entertained him. The Ambas searched my car in my absence. I had 2 cans of Pepsi in the car. They removed 1 drunk. So I told my driver that he should bring 1, let me drink, because I'm diabetic.
Mr. Chairman, those who abducted you stand for separation, stand for division. They are fighting for the independence of the former Southern Cameroons. But you and the Social Democratic Front stand for federalism. Was that not one of the issues that brought you into...
Right. If we stand for federalism, which we do, it is a matter of discussion. And when we came up with the federal options, we never forced people. We never held people hostage. You must support what I'm telling you. We never cut people's fingers. We never cut people's hands. We never destroyed properties for people to support us. We called for people to support us, and that if people saw that I have stolen, I've cheated, I have properties, instead of you destroying the properties, keep the properties and use them for your government when you do come. So, there are people who want separation. There are people who want federation. There are people who want what Mr. Bia is saying as
decentralization.
Decentralization, which I don't see how it's taking place. So, all these shades of opinions. At a BBC interview, I called on the Anglophone leaders, West Cameroon leaders, that they should let us meet somewhere, anywhere in the world, in Nigeria, in South Africa, in America, or in Europe. Talk and chat the way forward. Nobody has ever called me till today. And I told the Amber boys who arrested me that when you say Ambazonia, I know that I'm a West Cameroonian. Because the name Ambazonia, I have my quarrel with. So, but I am a West Cameroonian.
What's your quarrel with the name Ambazonia, Mr. Chairman?
The name Ambazonia has not been gazetted anywhere. I think we should follow legality. Well, I might be wrong here, but please, I'm an Anglophone. I'm a West Cameroonian. And I want to start my argument from that angle.
All right. So, those who abducted you, did they compel you in any way to abandon your federalist stand to join them?
No, they didn't. When they opened up for discussions, first they tried to keep me incommunicado, because the deputy mayor of Kumbo came to the area where we were. They tried to block me in the house that he should not see me. I heard his voice out, and they were communicating all in so. When I heard that their voices were rising into a sort of argument or debate or so, I had to blow my whistle to let the man know that I was in. I had to blow this flute. So, when I blew this flute, they all burst out laughing, and the deputy mayor of Kumbo came in. When he came in, I said, Mr. Mayor, please, go tell the people that they should go ahead with the burial of Banazim. I am okay. My abductors have told me to wait here. They were holding a meeting some distance off with the other leaders before they come back to me. And I suspected that the meeting they were holding to come back to me was to study what I'd said in the brief first part of the interview, and also communicating with their sponsors abroad. They were communicating. So, and when phone calls came from abroad, you'll hear they talk, they will speak in English. But when they were communicating amongst themselves, it was in the Lamso. So, they said, but one of the things they're out for is that the SDF should leave Parliament. I said, no. Your son here, Joe Weber, is also of the opinion that the SDF should leave Parliament. But we should take note that Joe Weber talked well and articulated what he said because he was on the floor of Parliament, and that had meaning. Without him being in Parliament, he couldn't have talked that way for people, for that talk to have the effect that it had. So, by the way, where is he now? When he came to Nso and said people should resist, and you say I should follow him. I should now follow him, go abroad and stay there?
No, they told the chairman that the parliamentarians or members of parliament of the Social Democratic Front in the lower and upper houses of parliament should quit. What is Mr. Chairman saying about it? Are you ready to call them out?
I cannot, underlined, because Weber was able to talk, and for that talk to have meaning because he was on the floor of Parliament. And it is in Parliament that laws are made. And these people have to be in Parliament to check all those laws, even if they don't have an effect, their voices don't have an effect. Their voices will come to the people to know that this is what Parliament is proposing, this is what our own people in are proposing, and this is what we think is right for the people. We are there as a voice of the people. And if we went out of Parliament, went out of Senate, went out of Council, I don't think that will be listened to anywhere in my life.
Earlier you were talking about the reports concerning your abduction in some press organs, and the first vice president of the SDF, Honorable O.C. Joshua, condemned the attitude and the information published by some press organs who were seemingly saying that your abduction was kind of a drama. Well, what do you have to say about this, Mr.
No,
Chairman?
well, let them try to dramatize it that way. Some said I was very comfortable with them. Some said I'd arranged it and they entertained me. I was having a drink from them. They took my drinks. I had 2 cans of Pepsi. They should look at replay the tape, and you will see that I was drinking Pepsi. Because I was entertaining people here and I did not eat, my housemate wrapped some chickens for me. Wrapped a few pieces of chicken for me to eat. When they searched the car in my absence, in the absence of my driver, they took the chicken, they took a can of Pepsi out of 2. They took a 5,000 note that I had in front of my car. They took these things. So, I couldn't have arranged with them to abduct me To gain what? The Anglophone fight is about Anglophone repression. The Anglophones being cheated in Cameroon. The Anglophones being taken for granted. The Anglophones being minimized, dehumanized in our own in a country we call ours. The Anglophone cause, Jonathan, is very dear to me. But when people take it as a big joke, I just feel sorry for them. Now, the Anglophone cause has been diverted into kidnapping and asking for ransom. Is that what they set out to do? Between January and now, I've lost over 105 cows. They abducted my sister. They abducted my brother twice. They burnt my compound in the village down to earth, raised it down to ashes. They set fire on the compound here. And I'm told that those so-called Amazonians in Baba, before they burned the compound, they phoned their mentors abroad. A man, I'm told, is going under the acronym as Pope. Pope said, raise that compound down to ashes and teach Funde a lesson.
We want to get John Funde's own way out of the crisis. At this point in time, what should be done? By who?
Open, inclusive dialogue. Let Mr. Biya talk. The North and Southwest are not just an empty place. They have leaders. You have the chiefs in the Northwest as you have in the Southwest. You have political leaders in the Southwest as you have in the Northwest. Why can Mr. Biya not sit down to have an open dialogue with these people? He was made fun of funds in the Northwest here. And when this thing started, I thought he was going to tell the funds that people made me fun of funds. Was it just a masquerade that you tied send ahead to laugh at? Or what do we do? Your children are saying this. What should we do? At least something could have been done. Look at Cardinal Tumi. He's made every effort to say, let us sit down somewhere and talk. It's a small mayor in Boya who tells Cardinal Tumi that you cannot come have a meeting here. Why is it like that? That we cannot talk? I challenge Mr. Biya. For 30-something years on seat, has he ever sat down like this with Cameroonians to say, look, I've been having this heat. Well, maybe it's not had any heat because he tells you that when Yaoundé breathes, Cameroon is okay. So the heat has not reached him because Yaoundé is still breathing. But take note that with Yaoundé breathing, the economy is gone in the whole country. People are suffering in the whole country. And one thing that I told your Amazonian fighters in the bush was that I am a strong advocate of children going to school. Because when we started with the LDF 20-something years ago, we never knew that 20-something years after we'll still be in the opposition. And what you started, you don't know how long it will last. Now, this is the third year. Can you imagine your daughter who would pass to go into class 1? And 3 years after, she's still at home. She's developed. And before you realize, all the women and girls that ran out either in all these areas, those gone to Nigeria, they'll be coming with unwanted pregnancies. They'll be coming with unwanted babies. They'll be coming with all this. So you see, your society again will be proliferated with children with different characters. Because I'm a strong believer in the fact that when you deliver your child, that child will resemble you or pick certain character traits from you. And when these children will come here with all these character traits, give yourself 10, 12, 15 years, you will not be able to manage. So, and Mr. Biya has never sat down. We thought he missed a golden opportunity when we had a tripartite. But he ran out and handed it over to Prime Minister Ayato to manage. He's never had the opportunity to sit down and talk with the people. And when you even watch him chair cabinet meetings, it's off. Have we been able to sit down, debate? Minister of Agriculture, what are you talking? He tells you that the youth should go and do Android agriculture. And I still have that picture in my mind very clearly. When he said that, he smiled, he laughed, because he knew that what he was saying was not convinced.
All right.
What is Andrew?
Nejan Fundi, national chairman of the Social Democratic Front SDF party, speaking in the course of a program he granted to the Inside on Equinoxe television. And that's what put an end to today's edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe television. Thank you, dear televiewers, for your keen attention. Stay in the company of more interesting programs on Equinoxe television. See you tomorrow at 6 p.m., God willing.